We are now in section 6, practice capability development. For the syllabus, we will need to understand how the ITIL capability model can be used to develop the information security management practice. And we will also look at the capability criteria that support the practice capability development. Earlier, we have seen the practice success factors, 4 of them for this practice. It takes effort and time to accomplish those PSFs. So what we see here is we are seeing here 5 levels, starting from level 1, moving to level 2, 3, 4, and finally at level 5. And the ITIL maturity model defines these 5 capability levels, which are applicable to all the management practices. So let's understand what these levels mean. At level 1, the practice is not well organized. It is performed in a habitual manner, initial manner, intuitive manner. It may be achieving its purpose sometimes and even partially because the activities are not fully done. They are incomplete, which means that the practice is not really running well. It is at level 2 where the practice achieves something. So let's see what that is. At level 2, the practice systematically achieves its purpose through a basic set of activities supported by specialized resources. So there are some activities in place and the practice is able to achieve its purpose in a systematic manner. And there are specialized resources from the 4 dimensions for this. At level 3, when we move up further, the practice is now well defined and it achieves its purpose in an organized way, which means that the practice is now well organized and it uses dedicated resources for this practice rather than shared resources. And it also relies on inputs from other practices that are integrated into a service management system. So the key word at level 3 is well-defined, organized, integrated, and dedicated resources. At level 2, just to recollect, systematically achieve its purpose, basic activities, specialized resources. Level 1, not well organized, initial intuitive manner, occasionally partially achieving purpose, incomplete activities or set of activities. Further up, level 4, the practice is highly organized. So the purpose is achieved in a highly organized way. And its performance is continually measured and assessed in the context of the service management system. So the keywords here are highly organized and measurement and assessment. At level 5, the practice is continually improving organizational capabilities associated with its purpose. So the measurements are used, they are reviewed, and improvement plans are laid out and implemented. This picture tells us that the practices are defined by ITIL 4, and there are 34 such management capabilities or practices. And every practice has 2 to 4 practice success factors or PSFs, which are required for the practice to fulfill its purpose. And the capability criteria are defined for each PSF at different levels. For example, for PSF 1 for this practice, there are capability criteria at level 3, level 4, level 5, and so on. And the capability criteria come from all the 4 dimensions. There are criteria from the information and technology dimension, from the value streams and processes dimension, and the other 2 dimensions as well. One thing we have to note that is automation is typically defined at level 3 or higher, because for automation, the practice has to be well defined, first of all, and organized, which happens at level 3. But it's possible that in certain practices, automation can happen at level 2 also. So we get more clarity on this slide here regarding the practice capability levels. For each practice, the ITIL maturity model defines criteria for every capability level from level 2 to 5. And these criteria are used to assess the practice's ability to fulfill its purpose and to contribute to the organization's service value system. So what you see here on this slide are some of the facts I described on the previous slide in that visual there. And each criterion is mapped to one of the 4 dimensions and to the supported capability level. The higher the capability level, the more comprehensive realization of the practice is expected naturally. For example, again, I'm repeating this, automation typically defined at level 3 or higher because it is possible only if the practice is well defined and organized. Now, this table here gives us the capability criteria for each PSF at the various levels for this practice. So on one hand, we have noted the high level view for each of the 5 levels, but here you will see very specific criteria for each of the PSFs. Now, this table is also in scope for the exam. You may have questions from this table as well. So it means that you need to remember here also information from these slides that are coming up. We've got 4 slides, one for each of the PSF. So this is the first one, developing and managing information security policies and plans. And we see that all the dimensions here are from the value streams and processes, and which take us through level 3 to 4 and then to 5. At level 3, the policies and plans are defined, discussed, agreed at the executive level. Responsibility for that is also clearly defined in terms of policies and plans, who is responsible. And the integration happens at level 4. Now, remember, I mentioned earlier that integration happens at level 3. But you see something different here. It is shown as level 4. And that's because the plans are integrated with other standards and approaches adopted by the organization. The integration that I mentioned earlier is within the service value system, but this is integration with other standards and approaches of the organization. Therefore, it is brought to level 4. Similarly, the previous 2 entries, which are shown at level 3, these actually occur at level 2 when the practice is well defined. But because these are going to the executive level, therefore, it is shown at level 3 here. And because it's regarding specific policies and plans in particular, it is shown at level 3. So just be a little cautious with the differentiating those subtleties between the higher level view of the 5 levels and this table here. Now, level 4, the effectiveness of the information security policies is monitored and measured. This is definitely level 4 because it's about measuring it and assessing it, which is at level 4 only. And then level 5 is also straightforward because that's the improvement level. And you can see clearly the security policies and plans are regularly reviewed and continually improved, which means the measurements and assessment reports are reviewed and improvement plans and implementation is done. We don't see the other dimensions reflecting here, and that is okay. We move on to the second PSF, which is mitigating or reducing the information security risks. And we see here the capability levels from 2 onwards, running us to 3, 4, and finally 5. And these are shown from the various dimensions, not just the value streams and processes, but also organizations and people, partners and suppliers, information and technology as well. At level 2, so the first 2 entries are straightforward. The risks are identified and managed, and the security controls are actually agreed and implemented at level 2. And that is fine at level 2. And you might remember integration happens at level 3. So the next entry is also correct. The security controls are integrated into the management practices. Remember in the previous table on the earlier slide, the integration was with other standards. Therefore, it was shown at level 4. Now at level 3, the information security controls involve all the 4 dimensions. So organizations and people, value streams and processes, partners and suppliers, information and technology. And you might recollect that partners and suppliers come in at level 3, and therefore this entry of partners and suppliers is also correct. And 4 and 5 are straightforward levels, wherein at level 4, the controls are monitored and evaluated or assessed. And at level 5, the controls are reviewed and improved.